Indie games are always a little hit or miss. It's just a risk that comes with playing smaller titles. Sometimes you get something forgettable, sometimes you get something unique, and sometimes you can even get both somehow. And as much as I hate to say it, The World Next Door fits right into being unique and, well, forgettable. Let's talk about that. The story is weird and not in a particularly good way. The game really hooks you at the beginning because the main conflict is very clear. June is stuck in a different world and will die if she doesn't leave very soon. It's not really explained why and stops mattering after a while, but it does its job for its 3 minutes of relevance. That's my big complaint, really. The ending portion just throws away the whole threat of death just so it could hint at a sequel, I think. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a sequel hint, but that could just be it. I have no idea. I thought it was trying to make me do another playthrough like Undertale. The dialogue in-game is actually pretty enjoyable, in my opinion. Since voice acting is minimal, there isn't really much room for bad delivery, which makes Aki stand out like a sore thumb. I can't really say much praise for Aki in general. They have no use other than to do the most nominal world building I have ever seen. It doesn't help that they're the only fully voiced character in the entire game. Everyone else does small blurbs in Simlish, and that's great for a game like this. You hear how they sound, you hear their personality, and that's all you need. Aki doesn't even make good use of voice acting. It's actually really bad. It sounds like Aki Dearest was given 15 lines of dialogue with no context, and Rose City Games just stitched together what they could come up with.
I can't wait to find out how this is all gonna end.
Unlike the story, the gameplay is very consistently good. The combat system is very fun to play in. The way spells work and how they boost other spells, while a little hard to understand at first, was actually really rewarding. Stacking spells and intensities made fights very fluid and unpredictable. There were times where spell blocks were changed or even used by enemies, and even though it was kind of annoying at first, it added a layer to the battle system that was really needed. My only complaint is that it doesn't have the time to be thoroughly explored, but that's not really a problem inherent to the system itself. The movement throughout the game only really passes as bearable. It does its job in getting you places, but feels very slow when you're in a fight. I can respect that the dodge roll has a cooldown of like a second or two though. The game would be way too easy if you could just spam roll. There's not really anything to really complain about here, but there's also nothing to really compliment. It's just a fine system. The dialogue options are generally fun. It's a simple 3-choice system, but the options had some weight to them in those actually important scenes. Fortunately, you can talk to every character in the game, and pretty much every one of them is charming in some way. The dialogue choices in these conversations, they don't feel as meaningful, but they do the job. Now, in terms of content, there's pretty much nothing. You could do every side quest in the game and collect every item you can and still finish under 5 hours. They were kind of fun though. I'm mainly speaking of the 2 times you go back to a shrine. There were only 3 side quests that could be considered content. One of those side quests actually plays into the ending, which I think I've established isn't very good. The other 2 to 3 side quests just felt like an excuse to interact with characters that had no impact on anything. I guess that could be said for most side quests in any game, but at least those games have the volume to make up for it. I don't really know where to put all this since this is my first time actually reviewing anything, so I'll just speed through this last bits. I'll have this figured out the next time I do this sort of thing. The music was fine. It wasn't insanely good, but it had some pretty good tracks in my opinion. The art was good during the talking bits and the credits, but made the overworld look a little weird sometimes. Seriously, it looks like that Kingdom Hearts mobile game. Were the characters good? Yeah, I guess. I personally couldn't get attached to them because there just wasn't any time to get attached to them. Finally, the big thing about this game is that it's like 4 hours long. If you really wanted to, you could 100% this game on a slow afternoon. It's very efficient in how it tells its story, with pretty much no fat on the edges. Personally, I wouldn't mind a shorter game, but this one doesn't really have anything to come back to. It has a versus mode, but I don't have anyone to play with. Now for the important part. Is this game worth playing? Yeah. And no. It's a fine game, alright? I liked it for the whole 4-ish hours I played, but I also got it for free like a year ago. Normally, this game runs for like $10, which puts it in competition with some really good games, namely Left 4 Dead, the Mini Planning series, Papers, Please, Garry's Mod Terraria, and both Portal games. But the thing is that those games, while very good, aren't like The World Next Door. The appeal of this game is that it's a visual novel with actual gameplay, and it's not really easy to find that for just $10 or less. The next best thing would be well, it's a mixed bag. All in all, this is a solid 7 out of 10 game. You'll have an enjoyable time for what it's worth, but unless you really want to support indie devs, maybe wait for a sale to spend the money.